What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of The Language of Dogs. This is your co-host, Justin Silver, along with my co-host...
Oh, it's either me or Brutus
it's
or
you.
Both. Kristen Hartley.
And we are here with Brutus, who I haven't seen in over a month, and Kristen's new... What is this Muppet dog?
So that is a Pekingese, and his name is Mushu.
This is the cutest
and
thing.
I got him from Pup and Away Rescue.
This is the cutest little rescue dog. This thing is so adorable. If you're watching right now, you can watch this on YouTube, and we're on IG Live. But you can see this little Muppet. He is half the size of Brutus's head. To watch this show, you can go to our YouTube channel. It's The Language of Dogs YouTube. You can also ask us anything you like at our Patreon page, which is patreon.com/TLOD. We're going to be answering some of your questions from Patreon today. You can also follow our social media. It is at The Language of Dogs on all social media platforms. That's Instagram and TikTok. We've got an exciting episode because we got a lot of personal stuff to talk about, and then we're going to go right to your questions today. First things first, I have to say that this has been one of the most difficult times of my life because, as you can see over here,
Oh, the boot.
I broke my leg, and I've been in and out of a cast, and then a boot, and then surgeries, and because Brutus is such a big, strong, active boy, he has not been with me. I sent him to one of my favorite dog trainers upstate. She has My Canine's Keeper. He's been on like half an acre on agility courses, running the treadmill every day, but man, it is so difficult when you are disabled, when you are disabled,
differently abled.
But I so require him like in the mornings to get up. You know, people they need like their mental health walks in the morning, and Ani's nodding yes. We need like having him in my life is such a positive because he's the thing that gets me up and gets me out and gets my serotonin moving in the morning. And without having him there, the depression from not only like the surgery I went through and being so immobile, not having him there really, really added to that. So I've only got him back for like a few days, especially while we do the podcast, because I thought it would be a great opportunity to see him again. But man, has it been so cool to have him back. And I wanted to show you something. And guys watching on Instagram right now, you'll have to go to the last post. Joe, you have that thing that I sent? I taught him how to, he has to walk off leash because I have the knee scooter, and by using the e-collar and using the switch command, I was just showing off how he can switch from side to side, which makes it so helpful. So if you guys are watching along right now, or you can just it's on screen if you're watching this on YouTube. But look at this, Kristen. So this is him going from side to side,
Always showing off.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to show people how to do it because so many times I have people who like they have babies, they have infants, and then they don't know how to walk the dogs around the stroller. So whether they're on leash or off leash, having this skill set is so helpful. So here we are on like 10th Avenue, and last night at midnight I wanted to go to the deli and get something. I'm not going to tell you what I was getting, but I was on the crutches, and there's no way I could walk him on the crutches. So he's just been so great about understanding these positioning techniques, which kind of goes in line with some of the stuff we're going to be talking about today.
Okay,
so,
can I just say for a second,
yes.
You look adorable on the scooter. I know you're so miserable,
I'm so upset
but
about
here,
it.
Mr. Watch me do 800 crunches. No. Watch me put car tires around my neck and, do some pull-ups.
Yeah.
And now you're like, with your little scooter. I love it so much.
Do you want to ask me any questions about the pup right now, or do we want to save that to next time and just get right into the questions from the listeners? And what do we want to do?
I feel like I could do an entire episode on puppies. I missed you too.
Here, let me just move his fat head this way.
I love him so much. He missed his auntie. I feel like I could ask you to do an entire episode on puppies. While I have you, I will ask one question in particular, which is something that we're having a very difficult time with, which is
that he just pissed on Joey and Ani's rug.
Correct.
We're gonna get kicked out of the studio.
As we have talked about before with potty training, because he was born special needs, he had swimmer syndrome and luxating patella, so he couldn't walk. Mm-hmm. So they wee pad trained him, and as we know, there's really no such thing. So now we have him, and he's 6 months old, and anything in our house that is not a hardwood floor
becomes the pad.
Right, he's just peeing and pooping everywhere, and I think my husband is going to lose his mind.
So the way you do it, whether you're undoing it or you're doing it from the beginning, is cycling. It's the process of cycling. It's like the compartmentalized area, right to the area, and you live in a house, so it's easier. I have friends right now, like my comedian friend Big J Ogerson lives on like the Pentagon. It's like the 37th floor of one of these New York City buildings where it's like the amount this dog has to hold it until they get downstairs. It's like it's almost impossible, right? But for you, because you have this house, like you go from the compartmentalized area right to the outside, like right where you want him to go, and then he has freedom, and you sort of monitor that, and then bookend it by taking him out again, and then if you're going to be out, you crate him or put him in a gated area, and you just keep cycling that and timing his rhythms of rest and energy and his bladder with your schedule. So with housebring, it's like this is I tell people how to think about it. Where are they when they have to, right? Where are they? So if it's like you fed them and you watered them and you know about 20 minutes later that's when they're going to pee, you want to set them up by having them in the area that you want to put them in. Now, there's times where you can't, that's a little bit difficult, so what do? You crate them until they are ready to go, and then you right from the crate or right from the gated area, right from their playpen, right outside to the area that you want them to go, and then they can have freedom for a while, like for up to an hour, and then you go through the process of cycling in and out of the compartmentalized area in between exercise, and always making sure that you're bookending them going out of that area and back into that area by going to by relieving themselves. A lot easier if you have a back door and a backyard, because you could just open it right up. In apartments in New York City, it's tough. So, which is why I always think, like, getting a puppy in New York is like, you might as well get a rhinoceros. It's a pain in the ass. So,
well,
I'm being honest about it.
The one question I have for you to that end is, what we've done is we know that after breakfast he usually poops, and so we have been walking him for 30 minutes.
You're making it sound like that's like a big deal. 30 minutes.
I know, but
so what?
Normally, when he has access to the pad,
right,
he literally eats, and within 5 minutes he poops. So, and then what we do is we let him eat, and then we wait 5 minutes, and then we take him outside, and then after 35 minutes he still hasn't pooped. It's like, so what?
And he's waiting to get back on the pad.
And so my problem is anybody who has a job, I can't spend 4 hours.
You can
outside.
also do this. You can also do this. Take the pad and just put it outside. Like if you have a front porch or you have a deck, put the pad outside. Right now they're just associating the pad with going.
Okay.
Right, but they're also undoing this is a pain in the ass, which is why I never. Don't nip at him. See, you're just setting boundaries. That's fair. You're undoing this thing, but that's the other way I do is I'll put the pad outside, like right outside your front door, and can bring him there so he starts making the new association. So that's it.
That's very helpful.
Yeah. Yes, Ani has a question.
I have a question of someone who doesn't own a dog.
Go ahead.
We were talking about Go to Spot last time. Is it sort of a variation of Go to Spot with that wee pad outside?
No, this is more
easing them into
this is more like
the Weeby pad.
Yeah, this is more explaining to them, like, you know how like you and I live in the city, so if we went camping, so it'd be like, you poop in the woods, you'd be like, what? You poop in the woods? I'd be like, well, here, look, I'm going to draw a fake toilet on the side of this tree. Would that make you more comfortable? It's more the equivalent of doing that. It's more the equivalent of doing that. But it's a good question.
That will get it done. I will pay. If you are a graffiti artist in Essex County, New Jersey, and you want to come spray paint a toilet on a tree behind my house, hit me up on the DM.
The other way to do it is this. Wait a second. If they're having trouble peeing outside or pooping outside, what I do is I'll take, if they pee on the wee pad, I'll take that, don't throw that away. Keep the smell of that, put it in a Ziploc bag, and then just sort of tap it on the pavement or wherever you want them to go. So that smell, they usually mark in the similar places. So there you go. Look at this Muppet. He's moving all around.
So we'll switch. Let's switch. You take head over here, who keeps trying to make out with me.
I know.
And honestly,
Switch
as
out.
a married woman, I'm into it. I'm totally into it.
You're a hot MILF.
I'm into it. I missed you too, buddy.
All right,
but so we're gonna get into. So before we get into it, I think one of the things is that I get a lot of questions, and this is what I've dealt with him. Is I always get questions about food and about what to feed a puppy or what to feed. And so for me, I love to cook, and there are lots of different brands out there that we love. But I know, Justin, you have a favorite in particular.
I love Darwin's, right? But let me be honest with you, so I'm not just doing like the Darwin's ad that I'm about to do for this episode. And the reason that I have them as a sponsor is because they're a company that I use. I'm never going to put a company on here that is not something that I actually use and not something that I would refer to my friends. Once you're on the dry kibble dog food is just not an option in my book. It's just really not. There's dehydrated versions of food which make it a lot more convenient because a lot of people like, Darwin's is like, it's big pounds of meat. A lot of people don't want to do that. They want something they could just pour into a bowl. But once you're on the real food version of things, whether they're dehydrated or the frozen subscriptions, that's where you want to stay. And trying to get the ratios right for like what a puppy needs or for your specific dog can all be adjusted with how you learn about nutrition. And it really is on the onus of owners to learn about nutrition. We could do whole episodes where I educate people about nutrition because of all the information I've learned, least of which I've learned from my actual vets. The most I've learned from nutritionists, and this is not to poo-poo my vets, but I've had the what I've learned is how nutrition is its own sect in dog world here, and it's not so much a part of the veterinary aspect of it. That's what I've learned. And I have a lot of vets as clients who've been very open with me about this. And then sort of like if there's vets who want to specialize in nutrition, then they seek out more information. But, the sort of, and I'm sorry to shit on it, people come down on me for this, but like, science diet on their shelves, just dry dog food is just not an option for me. If dogs have certain dietary needs, I'm always going to find the healthiest way to do that. And I also consider, my pocketbook, and I know people have to consider that. But once you're on the top tier of like, Stella and Chewy, Sojo's, Nom Nom, the farmer's dog. Once you're on the top tier of foods, that's usually where people want to stay. And switching between those, like it's just a matter of finding the one that works right for you. Mm-hmm. Like I'm like, is Darwin's better than the farmer's dog? It's like no. For my preferences, I like them the best because of how they package it, how it ships, how like certain ingredients. But dogs should eat real food, and just in my opinion. Dry kibble dog food, anything that has byproduct or meal or is processed that much to the point where it turns into a dry kibble is just not an option. And for dogs that have like specific stomach issues, there's so many ways to simulate what the prescription dog food, and there's no medicine in that food, so there's nothing prescription about it other than that it has a limited ingredient. And, if dogs have sensitive stomach, it's got very basic ingredients with, certain fibers and grains that just bind them up. And I do want to say that this is my opinion. This is my opinion and Kristen's opinion based on the information we know. This podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. If you need it, please consult your vets first and go see professionals where you need it. But this is my experience, my opinion, which, you take what you want and you leave the rest over here. And
gospel.
all you guys on Instagram right now, we are seeing your questions. Just be patient because we want to get to some of these Patreons real quick. All right, what's up, everybody? I just want to tell you about one of my favorite dog foods. This is Darwin's. Darwin's makes some of my favorite raw organic dog and cat food, which ships frozen to your door in these convenient peel and serve packages. It's got all the organ meats, vegetables, vitamins, and minerals that dogs and cats need for health, longevity, and well-being. You could feed it raw, or you can cook it like I do, add grains if you want to. And if you head over to darwinspet.com, use the promo code TLOD, click try it for $14.95. They will send you 10 pounds of this for $14.95, and they don't even keep that $14.95. They send it to our charity, Funny for Fido, and we use that money to send Darwin's to shelter dogs. You also get a free package of jerky treats with that promo code, so make sure you use the promo code. At least just get the trial. If you decide to stick with it, you can stick with it. If not, use it as treats. You can cook it up, stuff it into Kong toys, stick those in the freezer. So it's just a lot of bang for your buck, and you're doing good not only for your dog, but for other dogs.
I'm very proud of how I look. Yes, I am high maintenance, but I think you got to be. And frankly, I enjoy it.
So for today's episode, everything that we have prepared, and we are so excited to talk to you all on Instagram, so thank you so much, and please stay tuned. But some of the stuff that we have had people write in on Patreon and on Instagram has been about reactivity.
Right.
So for us, what we were planning to discuss a lot of today is about reactivity, which I have learned from Justin comes in many different forms.
Sure.
And until I met you years ago and started working with you, I always thought reactivity was like lunging or nipping, but that is not so. And so I would love to get into our first question, which is from Wendy on Patreon.
Hi, Wendy. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Wendy. Hi, Justin. I have a Morkie named Max, and he definitely has to be the alpha dog. He feels he has to warn us about literally every little thing he hears, and we can't walk by another dog without him going absolutely crazy. We can't even see or talk to our neighbors because he starts right in, and the only command he knows is sit.
There you go.
And I feel like I'm completely in over my head.
Yeah. So reactivity is, let's think about it like this, right?
So this is like barking reactivity, right?
It doesn't matter. That's
Okay.
all. So let's think about it like
Shut up
this,
now.
right? Here's what I think of reactivity. There's the environment, right? Which dogs are living in our environment, and if you're not communicating to them and explaining to them how to interact in this environment, where you were negotiating what's going on in their minds to the outside space, where you're not being the mediator, the only thing that's communicating to them is the voices in their heads responding to the environment, and then people end up in this observational position where they're like, why does he do this? Or my dog, the exact person that would write in a question to this podcast is in the observational place, right? Okay. Now, a dog that only knows the sit command is floating. And you hear me say floating all the time. What does that mean? They're floating in this human-based world with all these different things, with leashes on, with people that are neighbors, and they're trying to figure out what it is they're supposed to be doing. And if they only know one word, think about that. That's like me being a foreign exchange student in another country with a different culture, and all I know how to do is sit down. If all I knew how to do that, I'd be pretty lost.
Right.
How would I know if people were friends or foes? And so I assume there's a lot of baby talking to him or using language. It's like, no, that's okay. This is your friend. Be nice. Meaningless things.
That's true.
Those things have absolutely
We think
no
that
meaning
they
to them.
speak English.
Well, they do speak English and they hear us, but they also have to understand. They do speak English. We have to teach them English, but they certainly don't speak English until we teach them English and we give those words value. So you have this Morkie that's floating, right? Probably also a little bit of little dog syndrome, which it's like, what's little dog syndrome? It's the non-imperative to train small dogs. Why? Because the expressions of their dis-ease in the world is not as threatening. Like if this pit bull right here sitting next to me had the same problems that this woman has with her
Lord.
Morkie,
They'd call animal care and
they'd
control.
call animal care and control. So you can get away with a lot of stuff. It's like at the
That's a
very
good
most,
point.
what's going to happen? This dog's going to nip somebody. It could possibly hurt a kid, but the chances of this dog getting hurt are greater than it hurting. Right? It could bite a kid. It could bite their neighbor, and they could be like, "I want that dog put down." It could go after a dog like Brutus, if Brutus wasn't friendly, and that dog's going to get devoured. So, the thing is, that dog's just doing what it thinks it's supposed to do. Right? They think they're supposed to protect you. They don't know what to. If they're walking down the street on a leash with you, and they're like, "Okay, I'm walking here with my mom. Here's this big outside environment. There's a dog walking over there. She's got treats in her pocket. I don't know what to make of this. Oh my God, we've got incoming."
Yep.
Right? So even though the expression of it is more annoying than it is threatening with smaller dogs, it's the same thing going on inside of their head. So the way that all reactivity is mitigated they're done with physical positioning techniques that are the same no matter what. So whether it's hyperactivity, dogs lunging at other dogs because they want to play with them, dogs being reactive because they see skateboards and they're either what? Offensive where they want to attack them, or defensive where they're fearful from them and pulling backwards. Dogs that are hyperactive and jumpy when company comes over. Dogs that, I know this is one of our questions, that like nip at people's heels when they're going to leave the house. All of these things are mitigated with physical positioning techniques, and I'm going to have Joey bring it up on the screen for a second, but I'm going to show it for the people on IG Live right now, for example. If I have these two dogs right here, right?
Yep.
You saw, now Mushu's a friendly little puppy, right? But
He goes bananas at home.
But when Brutus got too close, he gave him a little bit of a
Yep.
bark and a nip because he was asking for his space. That's all he was doing. If I wanted to introduce the two of these, I would not do it from the position that they're sitting in right now. Brutus would be on my one side, and I'd be communicating to him, asking for eye contact, giving him words of value, telling him to sit, look at me, and then I'd introduce myself to the other dog first, making sure that that dog's temperament were appropriate for him to meet. So, for example, if I had a dog that was slightly reactive on the street to dogs that had very high energy, and some person's got their like puppy golden doodle and it's like, is he friendly? Is he friendly? And that dog's like, so eager to play with my dog. You can see how the temperament of another dog that was a little bit defensive would not like that. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with that dog. That means that the way that person is approaching is inappropriate. That's not the way to do it. The way to do it is to always ask dogs to sit in position A, which is, I always say this, position A is, and if you're looking right now, is my dog is by my side, slightly behind my toe line where I can ask for eye contact, and I am online, dog, person, thing in the environment. I am online with the thing that I am introducing them to or that they are getting triggered by. If you're just leaving it up to them and you're like, let me see what he thinks of this neighbor or let me see what he thinks of this dog. Dogs have different reactions to things and they're allowed to have those reactions
different
to
reactions
things.
to people.
Right. So the issue, what happens is this. People think that, and the majority of what I do, you can go on Instagram and people see me doing these things where I'm teaching dogs go to spot, I'm teaching place, and it's like, I look like one of these like treat trainers that is like on, I look like the biggest softy when it comes to training, right? And they don't realize like the majority of what I deal with are high aggressive cases, high anxiety cases. Like I'm that person
You're actually
in
the furthest thing from a big softy.
I'm not, and it doesn't mean I bully or beat dogs
No,
up
you
or
don't,
correct them
but
either.
you're not
I
a
don't
big
do either.
softy.
But the point is, whenever people don't realize how easy it is to mitigate most reactivity, because what happens is dogs can't do two things at once. So what we're doing, whenever we're dealing with reactivity, I always say, like, what do you want your dog to be doing? And how do people always answer? Well, I don't want him to jump. Well, I don't want him to lunge, or I don't want him to pull. We can't communicate that to them. So then we get back to our basics. So you want them to do what? Walk nicely down the street. What command is that?
Heel.
Heel. When people, when you're going to greet another dog and you want them to be by your side, you're going to be doing what? Sitting.
Sit.
Right. And if they're getting a little reactive to that dog or they're getting a little pensive in their pinning, you want them to do what?
Oh, eyes on me.
On me, right? So if you do the basics and you stick with the basics, if you do the little things, the big things never happen.
Got it.
So when we're training dogs for all these things like reactivity, anxiety, whatever it is, all we're doing is teaching them the basics, what we would want them to be doing in the first place, and then we start adding in slowly the triggers that they have so that all they're doing is they're responding neutrally. We're trying to get to neutrality.
Isn't that what you call proofing?
That's a process of proofing.
Right.
Correct. So
incremental addition of those outside elements.
And by the way, when I say incremental, good dog trainers go fast. There are, most of the time, and Kristen will attest to this because I train so many people that she refers to me, when we have dogs that are reactive and they're barking and they're lunging at other dogs, by the end of that session, those dogs that were barking and lunging are walking in line
It's true.
with the training dogs. And I have a video online on YouTube right now. It's fixing leash aggression. And I go through the process of teaching position A, the line, and what is called parallel walking. But just for those of you watching on YouTube, I'm going to have Joey bring this up right now. And I'm not going to drive the listeners crazy with a lot of visuals because that was a wonderful note that I got from Ani. And I'm going to take that one. But I'm going to show this right now. And for those of you watching on Instagram, I have this on Instagram as well. But you can go to YouTube, The Language of Dogs, look up fixing leash aggression because I explain the line, the concept of the line, dog, you, whatever the thing is in the environment, and I do it with graphics. Can we bring that up for a second, Joe? Yeah. Okay. So at 30 seconds in, watch this dog's reaction. And you'll be able to hear. You can turn the volume up, and you'll see. This is Leo. He is going to go absolutely berserk right here. Okay. And there's not much volume on this right now. That's fine. But Leo's going absolutely berserk, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you go a little further, go to 2 minutes in. I'm sorry, Joe. Now watch. This is me explaining the line. I'm explaining right here. Look. This right here, I'm showing him offline, which means Brutus is in the middle, right? And Leo's in the middle. That's where they would react. And then I'm switching here. Watch. Now they're online. So here it is. I'm going to do the graphic. You're going to see the graphic right now. Dog, person, thing in the environment. That's all I want to show right there. Now, if we go a little further in this video, and you guys can watch it, you'll see when I'm teaching these techniques, you'll see his owner holding this leash and walking his dog in a circle like I want him around around my dogs, and you'll see the lack of technique, and the devil's really in the details, caused this huge reaction on his dog. And then all I do is I kind of, actually it's going to come up right here again. We'll just show this again. You're going to see his dog will have this huge reaction, and then all it takes is sort of like a few seconds later, if I grab the leash properly, you'll see the dog just sort of temper out, because it's really just in the the tone of how you are communicating to them physically, visually, and auditorily. So as much as I can explain this stuff to you guys auditorily, you really it's really the technique that matters so much.
Yeah, Wendy, we
it's so
definitely
specific.
think you
I don't
should
think I
check
had
out
it
the
up at that
video
point, but don't
on
worry about it.
YouTube for sure.
Thank you. We tried.
Yeah,
We tried.
I think that for Wendy's sake, for little Max's sake, I think checking out the video on 100-pound dog. Oh boy. Oh, there he goes.
Yeah, check it out. I'm sorry. Check it out on YouTube. But like I explain it so specifically, and it doesn't matter how big these dogs are. Like they all have to learn the same stuff.
Right.
So let's move us on, because I have a problem of yapping too much.
Yes. Do you want to answer a question from Instagram, or do you want to move on to the next question from our person? So then we'll just move on really quickly too. So this one was actually posted during one of your last IG lives.
Wait a second. Can I say one more thing?
No.
Please? Please? Yes.
Even
that's, yeah.
he says no.
Listen,
All right.
I want to just say this. The reason corrections are not so important when dogs have reactivity is because usually dogs are lacking a knowledge and specificity. And if you're specific with them, you don't need to be so harsh with them. That's the one thing, is you're trying to communicate specifics and you're trying to restore them to neutrality. So when they're flipping out and going nuts, you responding with the same energy, now you guys are just ping-ponging. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get them to neutrality.
Bring the level down.
Which is why the technique and the way I explain it, like all these things can be done. Like that's why prong collars can be used safely, and when we use the head halties, they can be used safely. None of these things need to get popped, pinched. They don't ever need to be done in a severe way, because we just communicate to them subtly and specifically. That's what I wanted to say. Going on. Moving on.
So the
She hates
question
when I
that
do
came
that.
in.
She hates me.
The
She
question,
hates me.
I don't. I mean, I do sometimes.
All right, let's go.
So this one was posted during one of your last IG lives, and when we have so this one is, I'm a mess.
Yeah, I did it. 2 nights ago. I did that. IG
You did this
live.
2 nights ago,
Right,
and
I
a
said it to
woman said, when we have company over, our dog is very friendly, but anxious when people stand up from the
Right.
dinner table or from the sofa and then go to walk either to the bathroom or somewhere else in the house, and their dog immediately attacks their feet.
Right.
Which is interesting, because I've actually seen this happen.
Yeah, the dog's policing. And then
So
when people
I was going to ask you, what is that behavior?
So, like, again, here we go. It's a form of floating. Like, dog is in this human like you have dogs that are like sort of aloof, right? And because they're floating, they don't have specific information about what they're supposed to do in any given at any specific time. They just sort of like they'll just wander around the house, go somewhere and pee on something, right? You also have dogs that are nervous. So because their expression of floating, right, not knowing specifically what to do, not getting commands that provide them with a structure which acts as a handrail to guide them through life, which also makes them comfortable if they're nervous. When dogs are nervous, you'll have those dogs that get sort of fearful of people or nippy, right? You also have dogs that might be slightly more high alert, high drive, and so those dogs tend to be policing, right? Especially if they're like herding breeds. Like Chiquita, my pit bull border collie Chiquita used to do this all the time. She thought that it was her job to police everybody in the house, and so if people stood up too quickly, she would get sort of alerted, like where the hell do they think they're going, and go and start like nipping their feet, trying to herd them. Or it could be an expression of something where they're feeling, you know, you're in their house and they're like, wait a second, I know there's food in those cupboards. Are they going to go get those cookies? It doesn't matter. The point is that, like, they can't do two things at the same time. So when this person asked this question, I was like, when you have company come over, does your dog know how to go to their spot and sit and stay? And she was like, no, they don't. I was like, well, if you practice teaching them, go to your spot, sit and stay, and you first practiced it while there was one person in the house and you were rewarding them frequently as they were doing this, as you've seen me teach a million times, and you proofed it. You're not just going to be like, hey, let me have a party of 20 people over and let's see if I can work on that sit-stay command. It's like you're learning to surf in really big waters if you do that. So we always want to do things when we say slowly and incrementally. It's like invite a friend over and start practicing the sit and stay command and like teaching them that skill while that person gets up and walks around the house. The next time, do it with 2 people. Then you do it with 3 people. If there's moments where it's too challenging, they make this cool thing that goes around a dog's neck. What's it called? Oh, yeah, the leash. You can leave the leash on in the house because what is the leash? It's not a tether. It's a communication tool. And plenty of times when, Joey and Ani have been to my house before because we hang out, when Brutus is there, sometimes he's so, especially if it's been raining all day, for example, and he hasn't gotten out as much as I want, he's going to be all over them. And so what do? I keep his leash on so that I can sort of like just keep him from those habits from gaining momentum. Because think about it like this. Every time you practice a behavior, you get good at it, right? If I'm an anxious person and I practice pacing and biting my fingernails and getting nervous and obsessing, I get pretty good at that, right? If I practice sitting there and meditating and relaxing, like I get good at that. If you're not communicating to dogs what you want them to do, their instinctual reactions, here we go, reactivity, their reactivity to the environment is the thing that's leading their brain and then their body, then they're practicing those habits. One of you has to make a decision at some point, and someone has to be the one to shift and change that, which is why training dogs is so easy because they always act in accordance with the information in front of them. And not giving them information is giving them information. It's basically saying like, hey, whatever your brain is telling you to do, that's what you should do. You understand this? You have a child. I mean, it's the same thing with kids, no?
It is the same thing with kids, although I do wish I could put a leash on him sometimes. But
I see that at the mall.
They do that with the 2 and 3-year-olds. I got to tell you, when you have like a crazy like boy at even 8, 9, and 10 years old, you wish that they made those,
tranquilizer gun.
Right, those like leashes that they make for like the 120-pound dogs. But yes,
there's also
that's correct. I do like that idea though that you're saying though, is even I myself haven't really thought of leaving the leash on
in the
him
house
especially when he's loose, because he's at a point now where he's just like running all over, and as Ani just saw, he just is like person, dog, and just like completely has to be best friends with everything all the time. And so that is actually very helpful to me with him, is that I can just leave the leash on him.
Most trainers have this sort of leash on in the house rule, and you always listen. You don't leave it when you can't see them, because the next thing you know, you're gonna walk to your kitchen and be like, it's gonna look like someone. Someone hung themselves in a prison cell. So, and I'm sorry if sorry if that was not PC enough for everybody.
Oh, whatever.
But the truth is, like, I always get a very lightweight lead, like a like for a smaller dog, I would get like a 1/2 inch thin.
Okay.
And then just leave it, and you can leave it on a harness or whatever, so that it's like you can keep guiding them back to the appropriate behaviors you want. Because I always think of the leash as like holding the dog's hand. Just like if you had a kid and your kid got super excited when company... Think about, like, if this person's explaining, was a child. It's like, oh, yeah, my kid gets up and starts, like, grabbing at people and, like, slapping my friends when they woke up. You just take them by the hand and be like, sit down over here next to me, right? So, and it's the same thing, that line I was just explaining. If people come over, just like we're in this room right now, it's like, my dog would be, if the majority of the activity it's happening is on the right side of the room, right, I'd have my dog on my left side sitting and staying, so it's dog, me, environment. And then slowly you start to loosen it up and open it up. And it's like, I also don't want to be training 24 hours a day. It's like, even though you are technically training 24 hours a day, but it's like, they make these great tension gates. And it's like, the great thing about the tension gate is, like, you can stick the dog behind the tension gate in a room where they can still see what's going on in the room where everybody is. Give them a Kong toy or something that they love to chew, or a toy, and let them just be observers, so you can take a break. Like, don't they make those they make playpens for kids?
They do.
So mom can get up and, like, go to the kitchen for a second. So same thing for dogs.
He's no different than my son, is that he also will launch himself off the furniture and then inevitably hurt himself.
Yeah.
So it's literally just like my kid.
Yeah.
So
good answer?
Good answer.
Okay, moving on.
Good answer.
Good.
So our third question, this one is from Mike from Instagram. Hey, Justin and Kristen. My wife and I have a 5-month-old puppy named Shelby. She's very sweet, and she's learning her manners very quickly. The one thing we seem to have trouble with is playful and attention jumping. On the leash, she pulls towards other people to jump on them and to jump on other dogs. Also, when she's on the leash, she has a lot of moments where she will stand with her tail between her legs and cry and tippy tap back and forth. We don't know what she's reacting to, but she seems to be pinging on something.
Yeah, she's just, well, here's what happens. You, first of all, 5-month-old puppy, you're just learning and she's just learning. So got to give you a little bit of a break here. Would I have had this fixed in 5 months if this was my dog? Of course. But that's
Oh, here we go.
No, I'm not saying like that. I'm saying like that's not the reason I'm saying it is because it's like this is totally solvable. It's totally solvable within the 5-month range of a dog, but you got to like also accept the fact that people are new at this and this puppy's young. So again, I give puppies leeway when it comes to like pulling and excitement to see other dogs while I'm teaching them the process of like sitting, giving me eye contact, pausing for a second, and then allowing them to meet that other dog. In the beginning, I just want a second of that. And I'll make that window, I'll open up that window over time. But a dog that's enthusiastic to meet other dogs, it's like, great, give me 1,000 of those, please. The thing is, what happens is dogs change as they get older. And what ends up happening is their enthusiasm about meeting other dogs can spook other dogs, and then those dogs get reactive to them, and then they anticipate the dogs getting reactive to them, so those dogs get reactive in the first place. So all the more reason so even if it's excitement in a positive way, we still need some manners. Think about the person who's like, the person who comes into the party, and they're like, hey, everybody, I'm here, but let me tell you all about myself. You're like, you're going to turn a lot of people off, and then that person, when they start realizing how much everybody hates them, is going to be like, you know what, I'm not going, they become antisocial. So here's my point. So those dogs still need to be taught manners, and the truth is like having the right collars on makes it a lot easier. Like I'm like a no harness person, right? And that's not because I'm like a collar popper. I'm like, you need to communicate from. This is too cute, by the way. While we're here, the two of them are making out. Are you taking pictures, Ani? I mean, this is the cutest thing.
What they're talking about is the same thing that I have with Mushu, because Mushu is constantly trying to be best friends with everything and everyone.
So here's what's happening in this quest. So what's happening is, because think about it like this. There's a lot of ping-ponging going on in this leash, right? The dog is either revved up or pulling, right? Or sort of a little bit of fearful. And sort of like
it's kind of a dance between both.
Dance between both. Why? Because if the leash isn't being used as a guidance tool, where there's specifics and meaning and value attached to what it means when the leash is on, then the dog is sort of like it's banging from one end of it to the opposite end. You have these two extremes. So simply just practicing some leash skills. Just like you see me do all the time. It's like you can go onto Instagram and watch me when dogs pull. Doesn't matter if they're pulling, halting, just teaching the healing technique, the gentle turning that I show, all those cool things you see me do when I teach dogs to go to right and left. Just teach them those cool skills. And then when they meet other dogs, when you see dogs in a distance, you see just as well as they do, right? So if you see dogs in the distance, you know to anticipate the fact that, they're going to get all excited. Just practice a few of those skills. Heel, sit on me, and then allow them to meet the other dog. So you're just starting to work in some manners and some practical behaviors that over the course of time, they're going to get better at, so that when that dog hits 9 months old, it's like, I'm in the habit of when I see other dogs, I know how to heel, sit, give my owner some attention, let him say hi to that dog first. There's just a lack of leash skills going on here. That's all. And then doing that
with puppies, it's like you always used to say, I love the word manners. They have no much like my son. There's no manners.
Yeah, well, they're learning those manners, but you got to give them, like our good friend comedian Big J and Christine just got this puppy, and I'm like, they're like, the housebreaking's going well, it's not going well. I'm like, buddy,
this takes months.
But you couldn't do it in a more difficult environment than how hot, dude. They live on the 20-something floor, and then when when you're in a hotel in Vegas and you got to get to the casino and it's on the other side. It's like, God. How far the elevator is, and I'm like,
can't. Never mind. We're just gonna stay right here.
I can't hold it when I go to their house. So people have to. You're never gonna train the puppy out of a puppy. But what my advice to this person is like, just start teaching some leash skills. Make sure you're using the proper collars, the proper leashes. I always like the martingale collars, and I love the 4-foot nylon leashes that are cylindrical. and just start teaching these commands and start slowly teaching a few of them when they see other dogs, so they get in the habit of being like, wait, when I see another dog, there's some information that's going to come to me, and I've got to start practicing following that. Just start slow. Good?
Okay. Yeah.
I'm trying to go
it's great.
fast to that.
Do you want? Should we answer one? We have just a few more minutes.
Oh, we
before
do.
We got to sign off.
Oh,
do you want
wow.
to try to answer an Instagram question?
We can answer an Instagram. We have 10 minutes. We can answer an Instagram question, or let's see one comes. Did anything come through on here, or everybody's just like listening up on here? Oh, let's read the comments.
You guys are so nice.
Annie's going to read comments.
Here goes Justin's like, let's let everyone tell me how amazing I am.
No, that's not what.
A lot of emojis. There was a lot of emojis.
A lot of emojis. We
a lot of
appreciate-
clapping. Hold on. Let's see. Oh, do they disappear if you go back in? I went out of Instagram to take pictures of them making out.
Oh, okay.
That's
But let me go
okay.
back on yours. Hold on. Let me see.
That's okay.
But
Let's answer.
Well, and now's a good time to tell everybody what our Patreon is.
Oh, yeah. So you can always send us questions at patreon.com/TLOD. It's a little bit easier to ask us questions there, so you're not typing them away on with your thumbs, and also I can sit down and really answer those. We can take the time to actually get through them. Ani, you could have walked right across the camera.
Yeah.
You didn't have to go onto the table. But asking us on Patreon is really the best, because it's like sometimes things have to be specified and tailored to people's needs, and I can do that a lot better on Patreon and take my time with you. But other than that, you can always ask us questions on Instagram. You can't really ask questions on TikTok or on our social media that way.
You can ask questions on TikTok. They can actually go into the comments
I'm not
and ask
gonna read
questions in
those.
the comments. I will read them.
Anything
beloved
from anybody there? Oh,
There
good.
was just
Okay,
a
great.
lot of
A lot of
loving
people-
the cuteness
a lot of love.
the dogs.
You
Let's answer one more.
monster. That was all we prepared, actually.
Oh, that's all we had?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I mean, I one question I have in terms of reactivity.
Sure.
Is I would love to know what to do again for him, where he, for example, on the way here today, he almost jumped out of the car to get to the gas station attendant to be best friends with the gas station attendant.
So what?
He's just
So what?
it's a lot because I'm kind of driving, and he also, his back legs don't really work, and so he can't hurt himself.
Yeah, so put him in
So-
the soft traveling crate in the back seat.
100%. Hear that.
Why does he have to sit on your lap when you're driving? I'm
Hear
very
that.
anti carrying dogs and picking them up.
I'm super fine, and I'm fine with that. We can totally talk about this. When he's in a crate or when he's in anything, he just loses it. And
Yes.
so it's kind of like, you know how I always talk about having kids? I'll give you an example. So my son, we did cry it out. So normally, anybody who's a parent or anybody who has babysat somebody else's baby, everybody knows the cry it out technique, where it's just like, you know what? They're going to get over it. They're going to get
Sure.
used to it.
Yeah.
That does not always work. My son is a perfect example. We have friends of ours that their kids were perfect examples. My son screamed his brains out for over 6 hours a night, every night for almost 3 months straight, to the point where the pediatrician was like, you get to give up because that's not working.
Yeah, but
so how long do I try the freak out that he does when he's in a crate or he's in the little seat thing before I go, this works or it doesn't work?
But you can throw a million audibles on that. Why don't you can also just harness him up and put the harness through the seatbelt on the passenger seat?
He literally almost hung himself like the Shawshank Redemption,
I mean,
and that is what I like to call full circle.
I just think I think there's a lot of different options in the car. From he doesn't just have
I
he doesn't have
didn't
to
even
sit on
get
your
any
lap.
points for that.
No, you got 100 points for that. I thought that was really funny.
fine.
I thought it was really funny.
It's fine.
I thought it was really funny. No, but there's always options for that. But I'm not the baby little dogs guy. I'm just not.
I definitely
I'm not
don't
the,
baby
I'm
him.
not
He's
like,
a demon. He's a 7-pound demon.
He's not. He's a puppy. And so part of it is he's also so young that it's like you're still in the shaping phase of these things. So if he has little freakouts, it's like do it more incrementally. Like let him sit in that thing for the first 5 minutes of the car with a snack he only gets there. And then if he starts freaking out, you let him
that.
out.
Okay.
Then you add more and add more and add more. You know what I'm saying? It's
I
just
like that.
It's
Okay.
just like you're
It's trying to get him used to confined spaces
Yeah.
because he just wants to be in the action.
Sure. And he's enthusiastic and he's great. But what's going to happen is as cute as this guy is now, these behaviors, he will get annoying.
We're already there. we're living there. We're not visiting. We live there.
Let's do the shelter shout-outs.
Oh, okay. So,
yeah.
First thing is we need to do our Funny for Fido shout out.
Oh.
Because we have a lot. Well, we have a lot of our rescue partners that have been through a lot lately.
Yeah.
And I think now's a good time to talk about who we're going to have on next week.
So we're going to have Second Chance Rescue on next week, and let me tell you something. Sometimes I see, and I'm not going to have them bring this up right now. We'll do it when Second Chance comes in here. I saw a post that was so terrifying and so upsetting and heartbreaking, where this dog, and I know a lot of you guys saw it, where a dog got shot in his face and left in a dumpster. And it affected me so much that I reposted it, and I put it on at the Language of Dogs, and I also put it on Funny for Fido, and we raised a bunch of money for this dog just overnight. But there are so many, there's accounts that I don't follow because of how upsetting so much of the content is, even though I want to help as much as possible. So I try not to post that on our account too much, because it's like, I try to be like, you want to be watching our account, not seeing things that are going to break your heart. But every now and then some of these get me and I have to repost them. So if you go, but people can know that we donate year round to some of the toughest cases all over the country, and it's funnyforfido.org, or it's at funnyforfido is our social media. But you can donate. You can donate year-round, and some of these dogs, like the conditions that these shelters find them in and how they bring them back is unbelievable to me sometimes. So, and then we have Funny for Fido, the tour that me and Kristen are planning, where it's like, the biggest comics in the country getting together, and we're going to perform for the benefit of animal rescue. But anytime you guys want to make donations, just know that we make sure that those donations, 100% of those, go directly to the dogs that need them the most. And man, it's those accounts where it's like, it's very hard to look at some of those ones. Like, those are the ones we give the money to.
But the work is what makes it so worth it.
It makes it so worth it.
Being able to see these dogs come out the other side, and be healthy and be like this guy.
Yeah,
this guy was completely unwanted because he had
both of these guys.
He couldn't walk, and now he's a spoiled little demon.
Yeah, both these guys. Listen, Brutus was emaciated, almost dead, had to be in ICU for 3 weeks because he was just on the street melting and starving in a crate in downtown LA. This dog, yours has little medical conditions, so it's like these are like where, like, these dogs come from that, and that's why I want to give a shout out specifically, and I'm gonna let you read about them. I Stand With My Pack is a rescue organization in Los Angeles where I got Brutus from. And they just do phenomenal work. So I'm going to allow Kristen to give a little synopsis on them. But we always want to shout out a rescue group here.
Well, and Joey has the pictures from their befores and afters. But one of theirs is Peaches, and so that's little Peaches.
Yeah.
And so basically, what I Stand With My Pack is, they're a nonprofit organization that provide global assistance. The global, I think, is a very key piece here, to save lives of animals and prevent suffering and cruelty. Their domestic efforts specifically focus on the successful removal of dogs from LA city and county shelters, as well as other parts of California, specifically the high kill at-risk shelters, and then assisting these dogs through the rehab process and successfully placing them in fosters, pairing them with, medical, and then just, getting them on with the rest of their lives.
Yeah, I see them a lot.
This is Betty. Look at Betty.
So there's obviously like an arm surgery.
Yeah.
If we go on their Instagram page, you'll just see it's probably just hundreds and hundreds of before and afters of mostly probably pit bulls, because they're in LA in like just abysmal shape. And then here we go.
I love this organization so much. I follow them, and they recently had a huge loss to them. They had a little pug named Norman, which they deemed as a piranha, and he just absolutely adorable. And it's just that they're incredible. I love them so much.
They work with. That's where Brutus came from. And were we able to grab their Instagram real quick? Do we have it? If we go on our Instagram right here, you'll see. I know what we're going to see. We'll see. They have some of the most gorgeous pit bulls. Here we go. They have some of the most gorgeous dogs, and they show the before and afters. We could just scroll through it, Joey.
There's Norman.
Yeah.
He just passed away, sadly.
That's sad, but let's talk about something happy.
I know.
They have some of the most gorgeous pit bulls I've ever seen, and they work with this one trainer, John, that was working with Brutus. But some of these dogs, I'm like, how
Don't
did they
step on
get such
him.
gorgeous ones? And just like, it's hundreds and hundreds of dogs that these guys rescue. They rehome. They give dogs to, I know that a lot of celebrities end up with their dogs. So it's I Stand With My Pack. Go on their social media, which is ISWMP. Oh, no, it's I Stand With My Pack, and the logo is ISWMP. It's on the screen right now. You can donate to them, or you can donate to Funny for Fido, and we'll make sure that that money gets where it needs to go. Is there anything else today?
No, the last but not least was our dog of the week.
Oh, let's see it.
So before we were doing TikTok, there's so many great platforms, but I'm gonna call this is our dogfluencer of the week.
Let's see
This
it.
is Bonnie the Aussie, and Bonnie is an Australian Shepherd who was taught sign language by her owner because her owner is deaf.
Let's see it.
So Bonnie speaks fluent sign language.
Let me see it.
Obsessed with this account. They're wonderful. They're just an adorable couple.
Let's see it. Okay, here's the guy signing. He's asking for a hug. Bonnie's giving a hug. High fives. Very cute.
And then there's another.
She's
Joey's
learning-
got multiple links, but this one is amazing. Watch this one.
Where is the cow? Okay, so there's... Wow, that's so
Right.
cool. So there's all these toys in front. One of them is a cow, and he made the sign for cow.
And a sheep
Now
and
he
an
made
ice
a
cream.
sign for sheep
Yep.
and a sign for ice cream. You want me to tell you how easy this is to train?
No, I actually don't. I want you to sit
Why?
there
I'm
and
enjoying
enjoy
it.
the video.
I am. It's great. This guy's a great dog
You're
trainer.
worse than watching movies with my husband.
Wait. Oh, wait. He's making Bonnie get...
Go get your sister. Go get his partner. Go get dad.
Go get that. Wow, this
Please
is
go
cool.
get dad. Watch. There he goes. He goes and gets dad.
This is very cool.
Right. I love this account. So they're fantastic. They're absolutely fantastic. So dad speaks.
So he's the other dad.
Yes. Sign language as well.
Wow, we're
Yep.
getting everything on this video.
Yes.
You get dogs.
Yes.
You get cool, good-looking gay guys.
Yes.
You get... You
that speaks sign language.
Yeah, you get
Yep.
deaf. You get everything.
Yep.
Man, we're going to end up on a network.
God willing.
All right,
was
everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for joining us on IG Live. Once again, the social media is at The Language of Dogs on all social media platforms. Patreon, it's patreon.com/TLOD. Ask us anything you want. We're going to be doing these on IG Live, and then you can listen to this anywhere, and you can watch it on YouTube with the extra stuff that we put on the screen that you guys over there on the little screen weren't able to see. Until next week, happy dog training, everybody.
Thank you.